Well, it all started with an open public meeting that we held on the 20th of December of 2011. And we invited people who worked in voluntary organisations around the county to come together and just share what it is that they do, and to generally get to meet each other. So that the idea behind that was so that we would try and avoid duplicating what another organisation would be doing, but also to educate ourselves as to what services were out there. So there were about 50 people who came from different organisations throughout the county. I just put out the idea that it would be nice if we had something like an Ideal Homes exhibition, but instead of having it commercial, that it would be voluntary organisations, and everybody seemed to think the idea was a good idea. So we started a working committee which went over a period of probably 7 or 8 weeks, every week, gathering information on what was out there, and this is the result of it. And I'm delighted that members of the public are coming and making themselves aware of the services that are out there, and that we're all learning from each other also.
Just Be Aware Prevent Suicide. It's a group that doesn't actually provide any services or counselling services. What we do is actually create awareness and education in our own community on suicide. And the second thing we're actually doing is peer support facilitator training, where seven pairs of 2 people are trained, and they're actually trained on recognising the signs or creating awareness of the signs of, say, when somebody's getting depressed and that type of thing. So what they do is 14 people are trained, and then they commit to go out into the community in pairs, into schools, into colleges, into clubs, into anywhere there's a concentration of people like factories, and to roll out the training. And as I said already, the training really centres around creating awareness. So we say signs such as somebody becoming more withdrawn, or maybe somebody not taking care of themselves or something like that, that it could be a sign that there's an issue and that they may need help, they may be becoming depressed. And it's just all the warning signs that it would trigger in a person's head, that this training will make them aware of those little things, and perhaps then suicides would be prevented. Because I think one of the most prevalent things in recent years regarding suicide is when a family has been bereaved, that often there has been no warning signs, or they haven't seen the warning signs to show that there was a change in the person, or that they had become depressed. So the peer support training really is to combat that. And the 14 people will be trained, as I said, they'll go on into schools, and there'll be a knock-on effect throughout the whole community, and everybody will be made aware. So it's predominantly what the peer support is about.
Okay, we're the Open Arms Project, and we are going to do a team building exercise here. We're going to do ball throwing exercise, where we're going to support each other so nobody drops the ball and we keep it in the air. Our record is 12, by the way, so let's see if we can get to 12 today.
Basically, we're a group of young people who are trying to get a better atmosphere for the LGBT community in Tralee, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender. And we've seen a lot of stigma and bullying in our local area of young people, and we think that it's not a great atmosphere for people to be living in, and we think that everyone should be accepted for who they are. So we're trying to get rid of that we have a Facebook page, and we're selling t-shirts for €5, and we want to create a video sometime in the future to show a story of hope to help young people through this.
Really, we have an email address as well, and we also have connections with Crew Mock, Jigsaw Kerry and a couple of other groups as well, which are helping us out, and they all have our contact details as well.
We really want to make the community a better place for all young people, especially for the LGBT community, and it is something that we are really passionate about, and we want to highlight as well, you don't have to be LGBT to care. Like, we're straight and we do care, and we want to make this project really work.
Well, the whole men's shed started in Australia about 15 years ago, where a group of men got together in a shed. And a shed is very much a man thing. Every man has a shed. So these guys got together in the morning, and they met, and it was socialised, and then one of them got in a bit of wood, another fellow got in a screwdriver, and they started making little bird boxes. And they used to look forward to it every week. So at the minute now, there's 45,000 plus members in Australia. There's an association. They have rules and regulations, a constitution. There's a whole lot summed up. The websites have everything going. The first shed happened in Ireland in Tipperary Town 2009. So Ross Products factory, which was closed 12 months ago, they're owned by the Kerry Mental Health Association. They gave us half the factory floor. We got sponsorship from the South Kerry Partnership, and we got 2 workers to carry out the labour. So we're currently converting the half the factory floor into a meeting room, office, workshop space and toilets. What will go on there then is really up to the men themselves. They will bring their skills to it. We'll have metalwork, we'll have woodwork, we'll have a horticultural section. If people want to come there and have a cup of tea and a chat, that's fine. They want to have a game of cards, darts. It's just a social area where men can go to. It's taking over from the creamery and the forge where they used to meet before.
I suppose we need primarily listening volunteers who man our phones and look after callers from a face-to-face drop in our centre in Motherwell and Tralee. But also we need volunteers to run our premises as well, and especially fundraising in the last couple of years. It's becoming more and more difficult to raise money for any organisation, and people who have fundraising experience, computer skills, financial skills, who are handy at kind of looking after premises. All those types of people, if they didn't feel that they were comfortable manning our phones, we more than welcome them into our organisation as support volunteers. To man our service, we'd probably need about 100 volunteers. So, we're always recruiting. We take 2 intakes every year, and we're always looking for volunteers. I suppose really we advertise our recruitment campaign locally in the press and also on Radio Kerry. So we've 2 intakes a year. You can also ring our centre in Tralee 066 7122 566, and we can take your particulars over the phone as well if you wanted to be reminded on our next intake.
My name's Colin Lundberg. I'm from the Aware Group. I'm a facilitator here in Killarney at the moment. Aware is a group that helps people with depression, bipolar and anxiety disorder and related disorders. At the moment the Tralee Group is active and it's meeting every Tuesday in St John's Church in Castle Street in Tralee. The Killarney Group isn't active at the moment because we just had natural wastage with facilitators, but there are facilitators being trained at the moment, so we hope to get that group up and active soon enough, and there will be a public event and there'll be advertising in the papers and across the media and Radio Kerry when that happens and that kind of thing. So the Aware website is www.aware.ie, and we now have online support groups, so it allows a level of anonymity to the support group that we provide. The email is wecanhelp, all one word, @aware.ie, and the local number is 1890 303 302. So that's the basic information with Aware, and if you have any issues or problems, whatever, feel free to drop along to Tralee Group or the Killarney Group when it gets up and running. But in the meantime, there's information on the website, and there's booklets that you can download, and there's books you can buy there as well. And 90% of the battle with depression is being aware, is getting the knowledge and circulating the information, because without the information we won't recognise it. With the information we can develop our own toolkit as to how best to deal with it. And there is a friends and relatives group in Tralee as well. So it's the Meadowlands Hotel every Wednesday for relatives and friends. At what time? 8 o'clock again. So that's basically a group where for people who who don't suffer from depression themselves, but where they might have somebody in their family or somebody they know who suffers from depression, because it's often more difficult for people around the person with depression to cope with the condition than it is for the depressive at time. Because the analogy I always use is, it's like when you're trying to help someone with depression, it's like you're shouting through soundproof glass. They can't actually hear what you're saying, but you need to be there as well. So that group will help with that.
GROW was founded in Australia over 50 years ago by a group of people who'd left hospital, and as you can imagine, the support systems 50 years ago were non-existent really, so they joined AA, and here they found support, friendship and a safe place to talk. But as they weren't recovering alcoholics, as such it wasn't for them, so they left AA and they formed their own group, which initially they called Recovery, and they met twice a week, once to talk about their problems and then to say, right, what can we do about them? So they put together a collection of coping strategies that they found helpful on their own road to recovery. We have 3 groups in Kerry, one in Killarney, which meets every second Wednesday morning at the Ardall and Day Centre at 11 o'clock. Wednesday night we have a meeting in Tralee at the CDP Centre in Rock Street, which meets at 7:30. And Thursday nights we have a meeting at the International Hotel at 8 o'clock. In Killarney. Yes. The groups are free, they're non-denominational, they're open to everyone, and everyone is welcome. In GROW we say no one is a no-hoper, and that you alone can do it, but you do not have to do it alone. If you'd like more information on GROW, you can access our website at www.grow.ie or telephone our Cork office on 021 4277 520.
So this is Mary O'Donoghue from Kerry Life Education, and Mary will give a summary of the group's work with schools in Kerry.
Hi lads, we are an independent children's charity. We were set up in 2002. We travel to 16,000 primary school children throughout Kerry, providing drug and health education, which also covers the area of mental health education. We're trying to promote with young people that sense of wonder and awe about their bodies, around being unique, around how special they are. For the past 18 months we've also started work in secondary schools in Kerry. We travel to the school without our mobile classroom to the secondaries. We travel in and do workshops with the children in their own classrooms or general purpose areas in the school. We also do a lot of work with parents groups, teachers, and within the community with community groups. We're at www.kerrylifeeducation.com, or Chris Barrow, our project manager, is based in our office here in Killarney at all times, and he can be reached at 064 6635 135.
This is Breda and Billy O'Connell, who are representing Pieta House, Limerick, here today. So Breda, will you tell us a little bit about Pieta House in Limerick and about the Darkness into Light walks coming up in May, please?
Pieta House is it's a centre that's opened up for suicide and self-harm prevention. Therapy is free, and there's a website you can go into, mary@pieta.ie, and you'll get all the information there. We're also having a Darkness into Light walk on the 12th of May. Now there is one in Limerick, Killarney, they're in Dublin, Galway, they're all over the place, and we're looking for great support for those. It's on the 12th of May. It's Darkness into Light, so we start at the dark and we walk into the light. It starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. You can bring the whole family, your buggy, your dog, whatever you wanted. You can walk, jog it or stroll it, and we're looking for great support for that, and thank you very much.
So this is Sheila Harmon to tell us a little bit about the Kerry Adolescent Counselling Service. So if you give us some of the background.
Yeah, no problem. So Kerry Adolescent Counselling Service, we're based in Tralee, so we are in Balloonnock, and we're a free service. And we have 2 psychologists there, and me being one of them, and we have 2 counsellors as well.
How do people get access to your service then, and is there much of a waiting list then?
Okay, well they can refer themselves, so they can, and of course we always need to get parental permission if they're under 18, and as well we get referrals as well from the probation officers and social services, and parents as well referring their children in.
Living Links Kerry is a suicide support service for people who are bereaved by suicide. Our fundraising initiative is on in the Greyhound Stadium in Tralee on March the 31st. It's a fun night, it's a family night. We'll have lots of activities for the family, like we'll have a bouncy castle, we have face painting, we have finger food, we have a spot for the most appropriately dressed lady, and I suppose the most important thing is we have a helpline from 087 9006 300. It's 087 9006 300. So come along and enjoy yourself on March 31st for our fundraiser in the Greyhound Stadium in Tralee. First race is at 7:50.
We're Sean Corja, the Older People's Network in South Kerry, and our aim and objective is to combat loneliness and isolation among the rural areas and the elderly people in South Kerry. We were established in 2004, and from then we've gone from strength to strength. We really set up tea dances, information days. We have set up also bowls, and we're having a league of bowls. We have 9 centres throughout Kerry, South Kerry, involved in bowling. And for the elderly people who are not able to play bowls or not active, we have a craft centre, and we have older people involved in crafts, quilt making. A 90-year-old lady, almost blind, made this. And last year we had our elderly people among the community groups make 820 little hats for babies in Africa. So that is really what we are about. We're here today to tell people about Shancorja. Don't be at home, don't be lonely. We are involved with the rural men now. We have 80 rural men attending our dances, and we'd say to the rural men, don't be afraid to come out and join us. You'll have a wonderful time. We won the national award for the Irish Rural Links, and the award was given to Shancorja, South Kerry Older People's Group, in recognition of the outstanding contribution to community development in rural Ireland.